If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This is another of our popular Listener's Choice interviews, which we're playing over the weekend. We've chosen the most popular interviews for you to select the Listener's Choice winner. If you're not sure how the Listener's Choice competition works, have a look at horsechats.com/choice for the rules and the leaderboard. Today's guest is Sally Evans. Sally's a successful Grand Prix dressage rider, trainer and coach, as well as an A-level judge. And previously, Sally's been a successful 3-day eventer. Hi, Sally. How are you?
Hi, Glenys. I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Yes.
Sally, do you have a quote that you'd like to tell us about?
A quote?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
A quote that you may use when you're teaching or just something you use to inspire you. We normally start off our interviews with a quote from our guest.
Oh, my gosh. I probably have a lot of different things that I think about with different quotes. I mean, if it's regarding horses, I guess I like my horses to be happy in their lifestyle, happy and sound in their body and their brain, and then I feel like they're they're happy to work with you and they're willing and everything.
Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know, in life, I guess I just like to be honest and very free around people, I suppose. Honest and just upfront. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Now, I think when you started with horses, it was your sister, wasn't it, who introduced you to horses, or what was the story there?
Yeah, well, when I was about, I don't know, I must have been in grade 1 in school. And even prior to that, I always wanted to be dancing or singing, doing something like that. So Mum put me in all 3 classes of ballet, classical, tap and jazz, and I was doing all that and everything. And then about halfway through grade 1, it was winter. I was dancing in the lounge room, and in those days, we had the old-fashioned kerosene heater, and my nightie was flannelette. And I was dancing around, and next minute, I think it just must have just gone over the top of the kerosene heater and caught fire. And within a few seconds, I was just a ball of fire, and I just ran downstairs to my mum, and she was downstairs washing, and she just saw me and ripped all the clothes off me, so she burnt all her hands. And it was actually my neighbour that heard me screaming, and she got a bucket of water out of her swimming pool and came and threw it over me, which put the fire out. So after that, I guess, when I was about 10 or 12, my sister took me horse riding after I'd been through several years of plastic surgery and skin grafts and everything. And and then another strange thing about that story is my ambulance guy that actually came, he drove the ambulance to come to me when I was burnt. He kind of weirdly sort of like fell in love with this person because I was his first emergency case as an ambulance driver. And he got held up in traffic, and he had his lights blazing, and he had to jump out and kind of bully himself through the traffic. And anyway, he finally got there and saw me on the steps peeling all my blistered skin off my body. That's what I was doing. And he just fell in love with me, and he just became part of our family. It was really weird. He just became part of our family. And then in the end, he became a celebrant, and he said, I want to marry you. So when I found my husband, he wanted to marry me.
Wow.
So he married Peter and I.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
So what a story.
Yeah. Well, tragic story, to start off. And who knows, because, if you didn't have that accident, maybe you never would have found horses, and maybe, the amount of horses that you've sort of touched their lives as well wouldn't have had the benefit of having you in their life. Yeah, yeah.
Well, who knows? Who knows, hey? Yeah.
Mm. What about a career with horses? Because you pretty much went from school into a career with horses, or what happened?
I did.
Yeah,
I did. I pretty much wanted to be involved in caring for horses, and I can't even remember how I actually got started in the racing industry. I don't remember who actually put me onto it, but I started working for a trainer called Colin O'Neill, and his wife, Pam O'Neill, was one of the very first lady jockeys in Australia.
Yep.
So I used to work for them. I worked for them for quite a while, and then I changed and worked for a trainer called Barry Miller, and it was really quite weird because I wanted to ride track work, and when I was working for Colin O'Neill, his wife was Pam O'Neill, the lady jockey, Colin O'Neill wouldn't let me ride track work.
It's funny, isn't it?
But yet, I know it was weird, but yet I used to ride these racehorses bareback through the roads of Nunda and Deegan and stuff, and I used to ride them to the track, and then I'd ride them bareback back from the track back home to the stables. And yet Colin said, when I said I want to learn to ride track work, he was like, oh no, too dangerous for women, and yet his wife was a lady jockey, so I couldn't make sense. So it was really quite strange, but the stalls that we had at Eagle Farm were right opposite Barry Miller's stalls, and he must have heard the conversation one day, and he came up and approached me and he said, I'll let you ride track work on my horses. So I did. So I started with Barry, and I was with him for quite a long time and rode track work, and it was quite strange because I was doing eventing at that time. So I was putting all the learning that I was learning with dressage and eventing into the racehorses. So I was teaching the racehorses how to be round and on the bit and how to accept half hold. And they all started to work really beautifully for me. And then in the end, I used to ride all the crazy ones because I used to get on them and teach them how to work correctly.
Yep.
And
and
strange.
Yes. I remember actually when you were doing that. That was, yeah. Sally, what do you think? You know, because you've gone on, and even though you worked with race horses, you still had your own horses on the side. You sort of were juggling the two. For someone to work with horses, what do you think the character traits are, or the core skills to make a successful career? You know, someone that's just out of school, what sort of things do they need to start?
Gosh, you ask hard questions. Well, I think you've got to be open-minded and really willing to pursue whatever avenue of horse sport you want to get into, willing to learn about how the racehorse works, or willing to learn about how the dressage horse works and how his life is. Or if you go to a reining or cutting trainer and you work for them, you've got to learn how their horses need to respond to the rider and respond to work. So you've got to kind of put yourself, I guess, in the lifestyle of that horse. Like with racehorses, they're just stuck in stables all the time. With dressage horses, it can be the same, or it can be sometimes quite different for them. They can be out in paddocks and have more freedom, become more of a herd animal. And I think you've got to be able to adapt to the different sports and the different way the horses are required to use their bodies and their brains in their career.
Yep.
So as a person coming out to work with them, I think you've got to learn about that and be willing to accept that and help the horses in that. Okay.
Now, you've talked about the trainers that you work for in your racing part of your career. Has there been anyone else, you know, a trainer, mentor, someone who's influenced you that you'd like to talk about?
In racing or dressage?
Dressage.
In dressage.
Yeah.
In the beginning with dressage, I think I was more involved with the late Nuno Oliveira. I had lessons with him, and I liked all that style of sort of lightness with the horses the horses were, I guess, I don't know, well respected within themselves and their own ability, and there was always like a softness and an acceptance and a reward to the horses all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that. I did lots of clinics with other trainers and coaches, and I think you have to be, again, open and broad-minded, and you can learn something from anybody, really.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Then I did a lot of years with Sandra Pearson-Adams, and I completely respect her and her honesty and approach to the horses. She taught me heaps, and I think a lot of my training still now, even daily training, I always am reminded of things that both Nuno has said to me and Sandra Pearson-Adams has said to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There would be other trainers that I could talk about, but it would go on and on and on. But, I think with everyone I teach with, everyone I learn and have lessons with, you always just learn something. And sometimes it can work on the horse that you currently have at the moment, and sometimes it just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, no, that approach doesn't work. And you need to reassess it yourself. And sometimes I think you've got to think a little bit like the horse in training as well.
Yes.
And if the horse is a bit of a hot, spooky horse, you've got to help to calm them and give them confidence. And if they're, a little bit of a kind of surfer dude type, lazy type, whatever kind of guy, yeah, you got to kind of spark them up a bit, I think something I've learned, even going back to the racehorse trainer I worked with, Barry Miller, he was very good at assessing his different horses and always knowing that if there was something wrong, he would back off straight away.
Yep. What about horses who've influenced you? Or have you got horses?
Oh, my gosh.
Probably
so many, really.
One that's a bit of a standout, one that might be a standout above the others.
I don't know. There were racehorses that stood out to me that inspired me with their amazing attitude and ability and willing to work. And I guess with dressage horses, my main ones have probably been JB Assassin. He was very good. He taught me heaps. A Seduction, gone on very well. Still at the age of 21 now, competing Grand Prix in Western Australia. I don't know. I just love them all. I love all the horses that I ride. And some days, you have an argument with the horse in the training that day, and then that night, the husband has a grumpy wife. And then days you just like go, oh my God, everything went so brilliant today. I just love every single ride I had on every single horse today. Every lesson went great, and you just come in and life's just brilliant, I think they just influence you so much in your own passion, and I don't know what it is about them. They just make you happy sometimes.
Sure. I've got to ask you about a spider bite. How did she get her name?
Yeah, she got her name because when she was a baby girl, I think she was about a yearling, maybe rising 2, she got bitten by some sort of spider, and it must have got stuck in her rug. It was just a rug with no neck rug. And it got stuck, I think, in her rug, and maybe she rolled on it to try and kill it or something, but it bit her all the way down the edge of the rug. And when I got the vet out, he was like really concerned that it could have been one of those white tail, white tip, whatever that spider is, the dangerous spider. And he panicked me a bit, and I thought, oh my God, no, because spider bite was one of my, she was out of a mare, Atalanta, that was on the Grand Prix. She went to Grand Prix Atalanta, and she was on the national squad for Australia. And then she was by our stallion, A Seduction, who has gone to Grand Prix and was also on the national squad, and was like, oh no, Cece's going to go to university, she's got the blood and the brain to get there,
Yeah.
And so in the end I thought, okay, we'll just call her a spider bite because that's what she got.
Okay, because you've got some lovely names, and a spider bite was just one that was a bit different. So that's a good story.
It was different, yeah, I know, yeah. I know, okay. It was different.
All right. Now, what's been your proudest moment?
My proudest moment? Look, there's many. I guess, the top of the proudest moment was when Assassin won the Prince of George and the Inter one at the Sydney CDI. That was pretty great, That was pretty exciting. Basil also, Ace Seduction, he also won, what did he win? I don't know, I can't remember. He won Prince of George, I think, CDN. He won Grand Prix CDN there. He won the Inter 2. Yeah, they're all just such great moments. Back to my thoroughbred days with eventing and Seldom Seen, winning Horse of the Year, and the Sleuth down in Sydney. It was just amazing. Mm-hmm. They're all just such amazing creatures, aren't they? Each of them have a highlight in their life, a bit like all of us. We have a highlight,
Sure.
And lucky as a rider, we get to live a lot of their highlights, their high moments in their life, which is just so exciting for us. Spider Bite's done well. She just sometimes, unfortunately, Spider lets me down a bit. I think she has her mother's brain. I know that she gets a bit hot. So she comes into an arena and she just goes, "Oh no, I don't like that pot plant in the corner. It's going to kill me." So then, you go, "Oh God, okay, it's one of those days." And then other days she just gets in there and she's just in her element, and that's the days that are just magic. She got a really good 70% score down in Sydney, down near Newcastle, and you just come and you go, "Oh my God, I'm just on a high," They're brilliant.
Okay.
They all just give you such great things, don't they?
For sure.
Wait, can you hear anything? No? That's because we're waiting for someone with a good quality horse product to be advertised here. If that's you, then contact us, horsechats@horsechats.com, and we'll send you the details. Thanks.
With all the highs, though, come lows, what do you think's your biggest challenge? What's that been?
My biggest challenge? I don't know. Do you mean like sadness-wise?
Yeah, just something that you think, things might be travelling along very smoothly and then all of a sudden something's held you up. And I know that you've had a bit of a problem recently with a property. I don't know if that's been your biggest challenge or there's been something else.
Oh, life challenge. Yeah, that was huge. Yeah, that was huge. That property we bought, we did a big, huge effort through the Ballina Council to have that property established as an equestrian centre. And then when we were there for 15 years, we thought, okay, this is it. We're here for life. This is great. We love it. It's a perfect spot down at the end of a dead-end street. Beautiful kind of hills around us, peaceful, beautiful, quiet place. And then suddenly the highway upgrade from Sydney to Brisbane said, we're doing a dog leg turn in the highway and coming straight through your property. So, yeah, that was like, I think for the first 3 years, I just didn't even want to accept it. And, Peter, my husband, kept saying, it's going to come through, it's going to come through. And I'm like, they won't do that, surely. Yeah, so in the end, it was horrible because the last 3 years, maybe even 5 years prior to that, we've been pretty much fighting. We were pretty much challenging the government, taking them to court and having solicitors and lawyers and barristers and bills galore, and in the end running out of money and having to borrow money from relatives and friends and everything. And yeah, to anyone out there who has the RMS coming through, just stick to your guns. Eventually, hopefully good things come to good people. But yeah, like in the end, I guess we now have another property. We are in partnership with that property with a very dear friends of ours, and we're lucky, I guess. We're lucky to be there. It's very pretty, very peaceful. although not as peaceful as the other one because we're right next to the highway now.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway. So that's water under the bridge. I don't even feel like I want to really talk about that. I guess that was the lowest of lows. But I guess with horses, there are other lows where horses have to be put down. You know, they have to end their life for various reasons, whether it's, you know, a sickness or an unsoundness that you couldn't bear to allow them to stay living in the pain, and you couldn't bear to give anyone else that problem, you know.
Yep.
And that's where we've had to really become stronger in ourselves to be able to make that decision for the horse. But I guess that's something you have to be aware of, you know.
I think, I was going to say, if people know that it hasn't just all been rosy for you, you know, and there have been challenges along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Because people who are listening might aspire to do what you've done, and they come across a challenge and they think, oh, that wouldn't have happened to Sally. But if they know that you've had challenges as well, it just helps them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes it's like you hit that challenge, and whether it's a challenge that's in your other part of your life or the challenge that's in the horse part of the life, you've got to really reflect back, I guess, and take time to go, okay, well, I need to sort this out and help this horse. So does he need to be in a different paddock, or does he need to have more variety in his work, or does he need to have, I don't know, a different way of bridling or saddling up, or it's all things, or do I need to lunge him before I get on him or something like that? And
sometimes challenges like that can be learning moments for you, you know, like their education for you, because you've got to figure it out. Yeah, you got to figure it out. That's right, you do. I think the biggest thing, I think someone told me, and I don't even remember who it ever was, but they just said, you know, when you're training horses, you got to think like the horse. And the horse is that, he ultimately is that herd animal, isn't he? He wants to be involved in the herd, and if you're going to try and jump on him and take him away from everyone else and make him be obedient and everything, you've got to become that herd for him. You know, he's got to be confident that if you say, go over here and let's jump this log, or let's cross this creek, or let's go through this sandy track to the beach, you know, the horses, if you give them a little kick or whatever and say, come on, let's go, they've got to go, okay, yeah, you said it's safe, okay, I'm a bit scared, but I'm going, you know. Yes, yeah. And it's all those little things that really add up, isn't it, to the whole training aspect. And then hopefully later when you're at a competition or something, and, you know, there's about to be a big storm or a big wind gust, or, you know, someone in the corner's lunging their horse, cracking their whip or something, you need to go to say to your horse, hey, it's okay, just listen, come on, just listen to me. It's okay. For sure. Yeah, I'm the boss. Yeah. All right. If you are at a competition, just thinking back to your students or other people that you see, what do you think is a common riding mistake, training mistake, and how can we fix it? Well, it's interesting you should say that, because just only last weekend I was away judging. I won't say exactly where I was, but I was away in Australia somewhere judging. I was judging from novice, pony novice, elementary, medium, advanced, prison sludge, into Grand Prix. And just where we were sitting in the cars watching we had the 5 arenas there next to us, and we could see the warm-up arena as well. And there was a little bit kind of thinking, you know, some of these horses should be a bit happier down there in the warm-up area. Some of them were not so happy. Some were, I think, not so sound either. Okay. Yeah. So, I don't know, I guess I would say that it comes back to not so much on the day warming up, but more all that lead-up work before. You know, it is like the
care of your horse and the horsemanship that you have and the relationship that you have with your horse. Like, you need to know that the horse is sound. You need to, look after his, the saddle fits him good, the bridle fits him good. His feet are good, whether you have shoes on or whether you have barefoot. I mean, we do glue-on shoeing now. We've gone totally away from normal shoeing. Mm-hmm. We're into the glue-on shoes. And I think that you need to make sure that their body is right, whether it's a chiropractor or someone that comes in. Their teeth are also very, very important. And I think if you've got their feet and their teeth and their body right and the saddle fits good, then I think you're going to be down the end of that warm-up area with a much happier horse.
If you're an equestrian coach or a horse riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look at the free video series for horse riding instructors on the Horse Chats website. Go there now, have a look, horsechats.com.
I think that takes you back to your thinking like a horse, the empathy that you'd have for your horse has got to come.
The empathy for the horse, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've always wanted my horses to be as happy as they possibly can be. If I put them in the paddock and they're walking the fence line, they don't like it because whatever, they're too far away from the other horses, they don't like the shape of this paddock or whatever, I say, okay, I shift him, I find a place where he wants to be. I kind of let the horses tell me where they want to be, how they want to work, It was interesting because at the beginning of this year, we moved onto the new property and my husband Peter said, come on, we're going to do the Sydney CDI. And I'm like, Peter, you're kidding me. I've only got like a grass paddock to work her in. I can't get ready for the Sydney CDI on a grass paddock. He's like, yeah, no, I'm pushing you. We're going to do it. So I'm like, oh my God. So here I am working bite to bite on the slope of a hill, paddock and grass, and once a week I'd try and float her out to a student's place and work her on some sort of an arena. At least I had an arena once a week. Yep. And the crazy thing was, I think, she went down to Sydney and got a fourth in the Inter one and a second in the freestyle. It was just amazing. And that made me come back and think, okay, I don't need to be in the arena every day. Yep. If I call the arena, that's my office. Mm-hmm. I don't need to be in the office every day. I can be out in the paddock. I can be riding on the grass. I can be going to the beach, and I can still be working on all the things I need to work on, but I don't need to be in the arena every day. But that's just her. Yeah. Where Assassin was completely different. Uh-huh. He didn't like the beach. He didn't like the paddock. He says, just put me in a 20 by 60 sand. It's flat. There's nothing here that can scare me. I love it. I want to practice half past 20 times and get it right. And he loved that. Then A Seduction was totally different again. A Seduction, you got on him, you warmed up, and within half an hour you'd done a beautiful half pass, you'd done a beautiful counter pirouette, and you're like, okay, what else can we practice, Basil? They're all so different. And then Spider Bite is like, oh my God, there's a grass moving over there in that corner. I can't go near it. So think like a horse. Yes. And try to think like your horse, and then try to think, okay, if I am Spider Bite or Assassin or A Seduction, then that's how I try to ride them. Yep. And train them and try to get the best out of them. Okay. And then also know that there's their faults, I remember one day, it was so funny, I took A Seduction to the beach. I used to always ride him at the beach once a week. Yep. And he would always go by himself because he was a stallion, and I used to just take him to the beach and I'd walk him onto the beach and I'd let him tell me what he wants to do. Does he want to just meditate? He used to meditate. He would just walk a little bit further straight out to the ocean, and then he would just halt where the water was just touching his hooves, and he would just stand there completely still, and I swear to you, he was meditating. He would just gaze to the ocean, and his eyelids would just be almost closing. And I sat there for 8 to 10 minutes, not moved a muscle. It was just really weird. He just loved it. His breathing would slow right down. He would slow my breathing down. Or he'd get to the beach and he'd turn his head and he'd go, let's start trotting and let's go for a gallop. Or he'd go down to the water edge and he'd say, let's trot through the water. So it was strange. And one time I went to the beach with him and I took 2 of my students down. Both horses had never been to the beach before.
Yep.
One was right up at the sand dunes, freaking out at about 100 metres back from the water edge, going, oh my God, there's the water that moves down there. I'm not going anywhere near it. And the other rider was cantering through the waves with buckle end reins and going, no, look at that, he loves it. And poor Basil was just freaking out because he just so liked going to the beach and it belonging to him.
Isn't that funny?
So after that happened, I just never took anyone else with him to the beach because that had to be his moment. Yeah. And then the strangest thing was with a spider who has she's called Cece, which stands for crazy chick. Chick.
Yes.
Because she's just crazy, I tell you. She's just a crazy chick. The very first day we took her to the beach, we thought, oh, God, this is going to be like, absolutely, she's going to see the water and go, oh, my God, and just, completely lose her brain. She walked over the last sand dune and saw the water, and I kid you not, and stared into it and started to meditate like colour. They're all just so different on the beach.
Wow. So, Sally, have you got a book that you'd like to...
Book? No, I don't read books much.
Don't you? Too busy. What does your future hold? What are you looking forward to?
Future is I've got a 4-year-old horse at the moment that was just broken in. Mm-hmm. So I guess my future's already mapped out there with him.
Yep.
Going to Grand Prix.
Yep.
And, I just want to enjoy life, enjoy horses. I love coaching people that just love to learn and love their horses and have fun with their horses.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Oh, and of course, husband, he's there.
Okay. And sounds like he's quite supportive as well.
Oh, that's about it.
Yep. What about, can you look, if you could sum up your philosophy into a lesson today, that'd be great.
Oh, geez. You ask such hard questions. I don't know. I guess just don't take everything so seriously. Have a bit of fun. Mm-hmm. What is that? I've just got to try to take positive out of it, but then maybe learn from it as well.
Yep.
And, give lots of love to horses and family and dogs and cats, all animals. I guess that's about it.
Yes, and you've got 3 dogs with you at the moment.
I do. I have.
Yeah.
Dogs, yes. Well, I've got one licking my back at the moment, yeah.
All right. Look, Sally, thank you so much for talking today. I'm glad we missed out on that storm we had earlier. It's sort of, we got a little bit of it here, but then it went around you, so that worked out well.
It did, yeah.
Yeah. And good catching up with you too.
Yeah. Great. It's great. No, I love what you're doing. It's really good.
Oh, thank you.
With these interviews. I did actually listen to a few of them myself. They were fantastic.
Did you?
It's just so interesting to learn about everyone else and their lives and how they're doing that.
I think, especially for people listening, the comparison's interesting. Some people had parents and were just about born on the back of a horse, and other people really had to strive to, to get that contact, but, equally now focused and dedicated, but just coming from different backgrounds.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Great to talk to you today, and hopefully, talk to you again sometime soon.
Now, if you're still there, you probably know that I'm absolutely passionate about education within the horse industry. That's why I host this podcast. My other venture is Online Horse College. Have a look now at onlinehorsecollege.com, and I'll see you over there.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature. and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.